All right, welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today, Canada permanent residence in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
If that's on your radar, this is a deep dive you don't want to miss.
Absolutely.
We're zeroing in on IELTS scores and specifically the IELTS general training test.
That's right.
We went through a whole podcast script on this, and we're pulling out the need-to-know info to help you figure out the score you actually need.
Exactly. And our mission today is to give you a crystal clear picture of the IELTS requirements for Canada PR.
Yeah.
Why aiming higher than just the minimum can be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
What to do if your score is lower than you'd like.
Right.
And some actionable strategies to boost your IELTS score.
So by the end of this, you'll feel much more confident about your next steps.
Exactly.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
So first off, what's the absolute minimum IELTS score you need for express entry?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
First things first, it's the IELTS general training test.
Yeah.
Not the academic one.
Right.
Keep that in mind. For most PR pathways, you're looking at a minimum CLB level of 7.
Okay. CLB, Canadian Language Benchmark.
Exactly.
So CLB 7, what does that actually mean, like in terms of scores?
So CLB 7 means you need at least a 6.0 in each of the 4 sections.
Right.
Listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
Okay, so 6.0 across the board, that's like the entry ticket.
Yeah, you could say that at a CLB 7, you're demonstrating operational proficiency,
Okay.
meaning you can generally understand and participate in most social and workplace conversations.
So that makes sense. Like the bare minimum, you got to be able to function.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, and this is so important.
Mm-hmm.
While a CLB 7 might technically qualify you, it's often not enough to actually get an invitation to apply for PR.
That's a really good point.
The competition is fierce.
It is.
So that minimum score, it's really just meeting the basic criteria.
Yeah, think of it like this.
Mm-hmm.
To be competitive, you need to understand how your IELTS score translates into CRS points.
Right. CRS Comprehensive Ranking System.
Exactly.
It's like a giant points leaderboard.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
The Canadian government ranks everyone in the express entry pool based on all sorts of factors. And the highest scoring people get invited to apply.
Right. And your IELTS score is a big chunk of those points.
So how does that work?
Yeah. How does your IELTS score actually impact your CRS points?
Exactly.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
If you hit that CLB 7, the 6.0 in all sections, you're looking at approximately 64 CRS points.
64.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if you bump that up to a CLB 8?
Okay, so CLB 8, what kind of score are we talking there?
So for a CLB 8, you need a 7.5 in listening
Okay.
and a 6.5 in reading, writing, and speaking.
Got it.
And that translates to about 75 CRS points.
Okay, so you jump up to 75 for that extra effort.
Exactly.
Not bad.
Plus, a CLB 8 shows a more marked degree of fluency and accuracy.
Right, makes sense.
But now here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
If you can reach CLB 9,
Okay.
this means getting an 8.0 in listening
All right.
and 7.0 in reading, writing, and speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Your CRS points skyrocket to around 124.
Wow, 124. That's a huge jump.
It is right.
Yeah.
It almost doubles the game from CLB 7 to 8.
So that extra push to get to CLB 9, it can really make all the difference.
It can shorten your waiting time
Yeah.
and really boost your chances.
So 6.0 is the minimum, but CLB 9 or higher should be the goal.
I think that's a good takeaway
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Now, let's be real. Not everyone nails their IELTS score on the first try.
Of course not.
So what happens if your score isn't where you want it to be?
Yeah, is the Canadian dream still possible?
Exactly.
Good news is a lower IELTS score doesn't mean it's over.
Okay.
There are definitely other paths and strategies you can explore.
So what are some of those options?
So one thing to consider is provincial nominee programs, or PNPs.
Right. PNPs, I've heard of those.
Yeah, some provinces like, say, Saskatchewan or Alberta might have different IELTS requirements, sometimes lower,
Okay.
especially if you have strong work experience in an in-demand field. So definitely research the specific requirements for each PNP.
Absolutely.
Or what else?
Well, your other qualifications matter too.
Okay.
Like if you have significant Canadian work experience or a master's degree,
Right.
those points can help offset a lower IELTS score.
Okay. So it's not all about the IELTS. It's
Exactly.
the whole package.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's the most direct route,
What's that?
improving your score and retaking the IELTS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might seem daunting.
Yeah.
But it's doable.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of people improve their score by a whole band in like 30 days
That's right.
if they have a focused study plan.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip.
Okay.
If your score is below that CLB-7, seriously consider a retake.
Yeah.
Even a half-band improvement can make a big difference.
So it's worth the effort.
Absolutely. It's an investment.
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're aiming for a higher score.
Okay.
How do you actually do it?
Right. How do you improve and how do you do it quickly? Well, some sections of the IELTS are easier to improve quickly than others.
Okay.
Listening and speaking often respond well to focused practice.
So for listening, what would you recommend?
Immerse yourself in English audio from different sources, different accents.
Right, like BBC, TED Talks,
Exactly.
maybe even Canadian news.
Yeah, anything to get used to different speaking styles and speeds.
And for speaking.
Practice conversations regularly.
Okay.
Focus on clarity, natural flow, using good vocabulary.
Good tips.
Now for writing,
Mm-hmm.
the structure and format can be tricky.
Yeah.
Using well-structured templates can really help.
Okay, like templates for Band 9 responses.
Exactly.
So you know what to aim for.
Exactly.
And finally, practice with full mock tests.
Absolutely.
Under exam conditions.
Yeah, set a timer, minimize distractions. Use materials like Cambridge IELTS books or free online tests.
Get used to that pressure.
Exactly. And here's another pro tip.
Hit me.
If you're serious about maximizing your score, consider IELTS coaching or a private tutor.
Okay, so personalized feedback and targeted guidance.
Yeah, it can be a game changer.
So let's wrap this up.
Okay.
When we talk about the IELTS score you really need for Canada PR, it's not just about that minimum requirement.
It's so much more than that.
Yeah, a CLB 7 might get your foot in the door,
Right.
but it's usually not competitive enough.
It's a starting point.
Yeah, CLB 8 is better,
Definitely.
but still can be challenging. So CLB 9 and above, that's where you want to be.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, huge boost to your CRS points.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Absolutely.
But hey, if your score isn't where you want it to be right now,
Yeah.
don't worry, improvement is totally possible.
Right. Yeah.
You just got to put in the work.
Exactly. And that brings us to a question for you.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself in terms of these CLB levels?
Mm-hmm.
And what steps are you going to take to reach your target score?
Those are the key questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, if you found this deep dive helpful, share it with anyone else who's also working on their IELTS.
Yes, spread the knowledge.
And be sure to tune in for our next deep dive.
Yeah. What are we talking about next time?
We're going to tackle IELTS versus CELPIP.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, another English test for Canadian immigration.
Right.
We'll break down the differences and help you decide which one might be best for you.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too. All right, that's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll catch you next time.
Our final thought for you is this. Understanding these IELTS requirements is a key first step on your journey to Canada.
Yeah.
Take some time to figure out which score level works for you
Right.
and how you can achieve it.
Make that plan.
Make it happen.
All right, we're out of here.
See ya!
Bye.